Let's dive into this. So quick housekeeping. If you've never been to one of the 2H Media workshops, that is perfectly fine. Welcome. If you have, you're going to get the same shtick you always get. These workshops are recorded. We will be sending everyone the full recording a few days after the workshop is done, along with any materials that we talk about today. If you have a question at any point, you can throw that in the chat. Please use the all chat so that I can actually see it. If it's a DM or it's a PM, I'll be less likely to see it, and then I'll have to read it out. So if you want to just throw that in the general chat, that'd be sweet. If it's super timely and like on point, I'll answer it right then and there. And if I'm coming up to it, I will get to it when I get to it. And if we need to wait around to the end, that's cool too. There will be a Q&A at the end. So happy to have as many questions as possible. It'd be really cool. Some upcoming really cool dates. We actually have first ever Shopify AMA, which is like, we're pretty proud of that. Shopify is actually hosting 2H Media on March 21st for a 2-hour Ask Me Anything. It is about this topic of creating a marketing budget or marketing budgeting in general. So if you've already got one, that's great. And we'll dive into like actually your specific questions. There's going to be a team of us. It'll be led by me and my business partner, Aaron, along with a whole crew from Shopify. So it's pretty cool. It's happening on their community forums. If you don't see it, you will see it. It's actually going to be on like everyone's Shopify homepage. If you are a Shopify merchant and you have an active subscription to Shopify, you'll actually like see us. You'll actually see this within your, if you go to your dashboard, go to home, you'll actually see us there. Should be pretty cool. March 30th, there's another workshop similar to this one. It is, we're going to be covering things that luxury, so a little bit of a beginner standpoint on establishing yourself as a luxury brand or a luxury product line. So if you're thinking about developing another line of product that might be a little bit elevated or more refined than the stuff that you're already doing, we're going to be doing something similar to that, which is super cool. Okay. I don't see any questions in chat, which is sweet. We're going to get right into it. Your thoughts on budgeting. I have thoughts on budgeting. You probably have thoughts on budgeting. Who here actually has a defined marketing budget? And it's totally cool if you don't, because that's probably why you're here. Who already has one? Does anyone have one? Maybe, maybe not. We go through budgeting every quarter. We have a plan on how that budget is going to be spent. It's not like down to the penny, but it is a plan. So like, do you have a plan? So like, yes, budgeting is important. And then there needs to be a plan on how that budget actually gets spent. And if you don't have a plan or a budget, you are probably suffering from some shiny object syndrome, which is essentially chasing new things all the time. And it's really, really common for business owners that don't have a strategy or a plan or a budget in the first place. And essentially, you're just trying new tactics. You see a new app and you're like, oh, I'll try that out. Without really any effectiveness of it, and there's not really any tactical elements behind that, where that money is going. How many people are fitting into this category already? It's probably a few of you, and that's okay, because we're going to sort through this in this workshop. I am, yes, that's okay. I'm glad you're here, because we're going to solve that. This is like the core problem on many small and medium-sized business owners, where they don't have, they're thinking, oh, I need to create a budget, but you really need to have a plan first. To the money, if it's not aligned in the right direction, it's not really going to do a whole lot for you. And then this is going to be a great question for you. It's just like, how much more effective would your marketing efforts be if you actually had essentially a plan or a budget to make responsible, consistent decisions? I bet you'd feel less stressed. You would feel, I guarantee it, you'd feel less stressed. You would absolutely feel more confident. I know that that when we have planning sessions, it is super awesome. I get very hyped up in terms of what the next quarter of business looks like. You'd probably have a better plan on where your business was heading, a better handle on what you were doing as a business, where you see your employees, where you're strong, where you're weak, all of those like internal things that you're probably internalizing right now. And then again, the big thing there is you'd probably be able to see a future that your business could provide you. Right now, if you're not having so much of alignment in terms of your plan, where you're spending money and what you're doing, it's going to really, really seem like the business is running you and you're not running it. So yeah, that's tough. That's tough. I'm glad you're here. At the end of the presentation, I've kind of got a treat for everyone. It's a free download. It's something that you can actually start recording some of your findings on. It's a digital marketing canvas. You can just print this off or keep it in PDF form. I'll give everyone just a free download at the end of this that's going to solve a few of your problems. Again, this one's digital focused, but if you've got traditional marketing efforts as well, you can just talk to me and I'll give you a different canvas for that one. Which is kind of just a nice little treat. People that don't know who I am, my name is Matthew. You're going to be with me for the next little while. I co-founded 2H Media. We are, again, based in Guelph, Ontario. We help people all over the world. We've got clients all over the place. Specifically, we help luxury brands increase sales. And there's a ton of different ways we do that, to be very frank. And in order to do that, we normally start with a budget, and that's where my background comes in. I am certified in programmatic advertising. I went to school for marketing and finance. It's really fun. Some of it's boring, but it's really, really cool. And then, yeah, we help companies all the time define their marketing budgets. And that's what this workshop's actually going to focus on. Right on. There's a ton of other things that we do as well. We're going to keep to the budgeting stuff today. Cool. You'll also notice, again, we don't do some things. We're not perfect at everything. We don't do a whole bunch of SEO and social media stuff. We have our niche of skills that we like doing that we're good at. We'll come back to that later. Great. We all know budgeting and planning is super important. We do. Again, I said, like, I have a really, really fun time doing it. Aaron and I get together. We have a ton of it. It normally turns into like a whole day. Once every night, once a quarter, we'll end up building our plan. We call them rocks. So like, who's going to actually take what rock on as their project? On top of all the client work we've got, but like, what internal things are we going to try and do? Where does the time need to go? How much time do we think we need? Is there money that's got to get associated to it? Have we tried things before? Are we trying new things? Is there a trade show in the mix? Do we need more print? Where does it all fit in? You're going to have to kind of put that down on paper when we bring those ideas together. If you don't have a co-founder and you're doing this yourself, it'll be a little bit less fun. It's going to be a little bit more like internalized work, but you should definitely still be looking at this from the point of setting the time aside. It often can get overlooked. Budgeting is like one of the first things, budgeting, planning, strategy is one of the first things that can get overlooked because it can be stressful, especially if things in business aren't going well. You have to. I mean, I don't want people to fall off the wagon too early here. It takes time to plan. You have to set aside time to get this stuff done. So by no means am I going to have like a quick and easy way to just come up with a marketing budget that's going to solve your problems. That's not the way this works. To the best of my knowledge, that's not how anything in life really works. So especially with planning around your business, you're going to have unique aspects of what is good and what is bad. You're going to need to sit down and actually look at what has been working, what hasn't. And then again, like if things aren't going well, which I mean, we all just got out of a pretty disastrous COVID season and things like that. If things aren't going well, we can sweep this under the rug. We can say, I don't want to plan. I don't want to look at the numbers. I don't want to really do that. It doesn't, it's not a whole like cheery experience if the numbers weren't as good as last year. That's okay. The only way we kind of dig ourselves out of that hole is to kind of work through it. So you have to take time to do this. So this is a time commitment on everyone's part. It's not something that you can just skim through. And again, at the root of the problem is there's no strategy. So like, what does the budget get aligned to? How the heck would I ever put a plan, or how much time do I think I need, or budget? When I say budget, I really mean a combination of time or energy and money. So some things require a lot of money and no time, and some things require a lot of time and no money. And then obviously that Venn diagram mixes and it requires a little bit of each. A strategy, putting that together in terms of what you've got in the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months is going to need to be a combination of time, energy, and money. So how do we build a budget? Where do we even start if we don't have a strategy? We're going to kind of get into that strategy, especially from a luxury standpoint. If you aren't a luxury brand and you're just a brand on Shopify, a lot of this stuff will apply. Some things won't, but it's good that you're here. The first assumption to this strategy, and again, this is going to be in the realm of tying back to a budget, is people understand that I'm a luxury brand. That's an assumption. I hear it all the time. We have a laugh with business owners all the time, going like, just because you say you're a luxury brand doesn't mean you are a luxury brand. We have a quote that we hear I probably hear twice a week. It's a little bit tailored up for this, but the gist of it is people intuit my brand is luxury based on product category, logo, price point, and keyword. So just because you sell a watch does not mean you're a luxury brand. It means you sell jewelry, you sell watches, but that watch doesn't fit that luxury brand just yet. We need to actually go a level deeper in terms of actually creating that luxury brand and where that time and money needs to go. We need to, and again, this is the mindset shift. A mindset shift is I need to exceed. So every luxury brand needs to do this. I need to exceed my competition in quality of content, communication, and delivery. That's what makes you a luxury brand. So luxury brands never struggle with these 3 things. So how do we actually do this? How do we actually create a budget or a strategy around this? We need to know who your competition is. So how do you know if you're exceeding your competition? You know who your competitors are. So you need to actually look into the industry and determine who your competitors actually are. I would start geographically. Who are my top 5 biggest competitors that are the closest in geography to me? And I would have those people written down. I would write those down. So first thing you're going to end up doing, write those competitors down. Who are they? How do you actually evaluate who they are? Follow them on social media. That's what I would do. If you were hiring a marketing agency, this is what we would do. This is like the thing. This is it. I'm gonna tell you exactly what we would do. We would follow them on social media. We would see how often they post. We would see what they post and when they post. We would sign up to their newsletters. We would receive their newsletters. We'd see what they're talking about, how they're talking about it, how regularly or irregularly things are coming out. We would read their blog. We would check their website regularly. We would record their pricing. There would be a ton of things that we would actually do to see if are we in competition with our competition? Are we getting blown out of the water? Or are we par? My goal is to exceed them. I don't need to exceed them on every level. I need to be better at them where it makes sense. So again, where does it make sense for you to be better than your competition? We need to record those things down because that's what's going to take the time and the money. Where we need to be better than them, right? We do need to factor in a few things. Geography is a big one. So like location-based stuff is super important. If you're selling like heavy, something that's heavy, like luxury furniture, for example, I've got an example of that later. People are more likely to be buying furniture that's local to them and having it delivered or picking it up themselves rather than shipping in a product that's out of country. So like geography plays a huge importance. Demographics play a huge importance, massively. Again, what does your demographic of people care about the most? Behavioralistics. I mean, I'm sure everyone's heard these 4 terms before: geography, the demo, geo, physio, and behavioralistics. Those things really, really matter. We want to focus on the big things that mean something to them. So what are the key important things that your competitors are doing well that's causing them to increase? Now, again, I'm going to hammer this point home. There's going to be a few things that we're actually going to be talking about today that I'm going to need you to write down. So we need to get that written down. If you know their standards, write them down. It doesn't need to be anything complicated. It could be in an Excel spreadsheet. It could be on a piece of graph paper. It could be on sticky notes. It could be anywhere, but we're going to write down our findings. We are going to write down, do they attend a bunch of trade shows? Do they have a bunch of launch events for new products? How often do they release new products? Do they collaborate with other companies often? How often do they post? What channels do they operate on? How is their photography? Do they pump out a ton of videos? Are they doing a lot of YouTube shorts or reels or TikToks? What are they doing? You need to know. And then we can say, okay, great. Let's actually look at it. And we can avoid some mistakes. So we need to be able to keep pace with the competition. We need to focus on where to spend the time and essentially money in terms of keeping pace with that. Are there going to be opportunities that present themselves? A ton of them. And I'm going to give you one in the next slide, actually. But the idea is that we need to focus on what is going to actually move the needle. So if I'm writing down, let's just say it's competitor one. Well, pick a name. Competitor one for you, your largest competitor, and I'm looking at their social media today. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to say, okay, great. They've got 50,000 followers, and they are posting on average, 2 times a day, and they produce 2 stories every other day, and they're X and Y and X and Y. And then I'm going to go forward in time and look back at it 2 months from now, and I'm going to say they increased their follower count from 50,000 to 53,000. So they grew by, not quite 10%. They grew by 3,000 followers. What did they do to get those 3,000 followers? Is it going to be worth it for you? How do you know which competitor is best to follow? How do you match it to your unique brand? Okay, that's a great question. So how do you know which competitors to follow? I'll read this question to everyone. How do you know which competitor is best to follow? How do you match it to your unique brand? Okay, so I would follow a few of them. If it was me, I know all of the marketing agencies that exist around me, where I treat them as friends more than I treat them as enemies. We all can kind of grow together. I don't treat them as competitors. They are competitors. Like when they sign a deal, obviously I can't get that deal as well. The goal is that we get better playing together. So they're going to hold me accountable. I'm going to hold them accountable. We're kind of always battling back and forth. I would follow a range of them. I wouldn't just follow one. So how do you know which is best to follow? I would have a hard time understanding which one is best too. That's why I would follow a few. I don't need to look at them every day. I don't need to turn around and go look at my competitors and where they are. I'm not running a race and I've got to shoulder check every single time I'm taking a corner. The goal there is I just need to have my eyes open and paying attention to it. I set aside time in my calendar every month. And it's like 2 hours a month. And I go, what are my competitors doing? What did they write about? What does their social media look like? Are they growing? What did they do? Where are they? Like, again, I'm just going to go through and just keep my eyes open in terms of what was actually happening. I'm doing my own stuff too. Like, our agencies doing our own stuff too. So it does not like, oh, I'm copying them, but I still need to be aware of what the industry is doing. I don't want to leave any free lunch out there. So if there's a new grant program or something, I don't want to be the last dog at to the bowl with that. So I do need to keep my stuff open. The easiest way, how do you match it to your unique brand? It's a really, really, really easy. Is what are you most known? What are you known well for doing? So like name your product. What do you sell? I would type what you sell into Google a couple of times, and I would see who comes up first, second, third, fourth. That's what your competitor, that's what your customers are seeing. If you're not, 1 through 5, those are your competitors. On an organic side, who's advertising? I'm going to get my ads at the top. I'm going to get some organic search at the bottom. I'm going to look in my geographical area. Who has got the most Google reviews in my city or in my province, in my state, where I'm located? Who's killing it in terms of social proof? You should know that. And my goal is going to be to crush them at the things that, if I'm a social, a luxury brand, I know that social proof is super important. I know that I want people to like my brand. I know I want people talking about it. That's exactly it. And again, we just look. You might be the top of the heap in some of these categories. Not that that's great. I wouldn't spend more time and money on your strong suits. I would kind of shore up the weak bits and continue doing the stuff that you're already doing. So maybe it doesn't need more, but it needs consistent. So I'm going to give you an example, a real life example of exactly that. This is a Sidonios. They sell custom suits. So again, luxury e-commerce product. They sell custom suits. They're gorgeous. And this is like true through COVID and not COVID. They're looking around at their competitors. They're looking at the marketplace, and they're clearly coming to the realization that there are a lot younger people buying suits. Younger people are getting married. Those younger people are more adept at technology. They communicate differently. They're like getting like DMs in their Instagram for like people wanting to order a suit, and they've never had that before in like the 50 years they've been in existence. That's not what their parents did. That's not what the customer 10 years ago did. So they're looking around and coming to the conclusion, I need to meet the customer where they are. We've got a younger audience now. If I go into the demographics, the customers are younger. Well, they're always, 25 to 30, but like, yes, they're more tech savvy than the previous generation. Great. How do I meet them where they are? What can I do better? And there were some clear opportunities there. So one was just a chatbot, and the other was an online scheduler, so that people can actually just schedule a fitting right online. So that younger audience is looking for that convenience just to schedule something in. They know that they're going to get the time that they're required to have. So not complicated solutions. Like this isn't going to be like some revolutionary, we're going to develop a new tool. Nope. It's, I need to put budget aside to better my communication tactics with a younger audience. Not difficult to do. You don't need $1 million to do this. You don't need 1 million hours in the work week to do this, but you do need some. There's a little bit of research that went into the chatbot that they use. There was a little bit of research in terms of the online booking, and there was a bunch of time for their leadership to learn those tools. Who's going to answer the chatbot? How do we actually communicate as a company? What happens when no one is around to answer the chatbot? What options do we present our customers that are going to be best suited to either have them call or leave a voicemail, or the chatbot will give some AI answers based on the prompts? Okay, great. And then for the online booking, how do we make sure that we don't double book ourselves now? Now there's these new tools in the business that will have to have some change management. That comes out of the marketing budget. If marketing is going to bring new tools into this, and that's not a money problem, that's a time problem. So how much time do you have to learn the new tools that are going to go in? So again, not overly complicated, and just a plain real life example of how, if you look at your competitors, and again, they looked at their biggest competitors. They went to like the Michael Jordans of the community. They're looking at Hugo Boss. They're looking at like brands that operate on like every continent in every country, right? What are those heavy hitters doing? And they're adopting new technology. So these guys are trying to keep pace. That's it. If you don't have any of those larger players in your ecosystem, congratulations. But you still are going to want to try again. Who is my customer? What do they value? It's probably going to, everyone wants something easier or more convenient. But great. So yeah, a chatbot's not going to solve all of your marketing problems, but it's going to open up more opportunities. And again, it's not going to cost you $1 zillion. Okay. So I don't have any chatbot recommendations to make for you, but it's something that you need to consider. We're actually going to get into, so again, you can kind of see how the budget or the strategy is going to dictate some of the budget here. The next assumption, because I get asked this like personally all the time, you should just be able to provide me a budget for marketing. I wish I could. Honestly, I could just say like, okay, yeah, a budget, it's $1 million, or it's 25,000. That's not the way it works. It's not the way it works. A good service provider is not going to provide, this isn't like getting a roof fixed. It's not like they can look at the roof and they can measure it up and they can say, okay, great, it's 25 grand. That's not the way there's a finite amount of roof. You don't have a finite amount of business. You want the business to grow as large as you want. Well, the roof is the one size. It's only one roof. So a good service provider isn't going to just give you a price over the phone. They should take the time to learn what you're trying to do, who your market is, what your products are, their margins, and essentially how you work. Like everyone in this room is going to work a little bit differently. We do have some general numbers. We do have some general number. So the way that a marketing budget should work is based on the opportunity. So we need to understand the objectives around your business is trying to accomplish. So the objectives, again, for Sidonia's was like, we want to have more conversations. That was the way they were measuring it. More conversations around selling suits. Every time we sell a suit, you know, it's a $2,000 suit, let's say. Okay, great. How can we have more conversations? So if your goal is to sell 500 products, this quarter, so in the next 90 days, and the price point is $50, the total opportunity is 25 grand. Easy math, everyone can follow that. So your budget needs to be in line with this. It's going to be really difficult if your marketing budget is $300 to sell $25,000 worth of product. Some people can do it. If you've been in the marketplace a long time and you've got great organic, awesome. That's like kudos to you. Doesn't always happen, especially if you're a new business. So that mindset shift I want you to take is, if my goal is to sell $25,000, or you can factor it based on product or on gross cost, great. Your budget needs to be in line with the opportunity. So a rule of thumb would be plan to spend about 10 to 15% on what you hope to capture. So a marketing budget of about 10 to 15% to bring in $25,000 is normal. It does vary. So again, rule of thumb, this isn't always perfect. I would always start at the end and work backwards. And this is true of like everything we do. Start from the end and work backwards. So how much money do you want to make? Or how many units do you need to sell? How many social media followers do you want to have? Like, have the goal. How much money how much time do you need to either do that? If it's a time play, how much time do you need to put out social media posts? How much does that actually look like? So start from the end. How much money do you want to make our units? What assets do you have to create those sales or to sell those units? So like, maybe you've already got a bunch of photography or video, maybe you've already got all the things that you need to do it and it's just time. Maybe you need to invest in some more tools. Great. I would go right into your dashboard in Shopify. What's your conversion rate? Whether your conversion rate's like 1.2% or something like that. So based on that, it's how many people do I need to reach now? So I need to reach 100,000 people. Conversion rate is 1%. Okay, great. So what's the cost to reach each person? That's the budget. I'll do that one more time. I can put this in chat for you too. So start from the end. How many units do I want to sell? How much work goes into each unit? So social media posts or assets or whatever that actually needs to go into that. What's your conversion rate? How many people do you need to reach? What's the cost to reach each person? That's the budget. So something like this would be if I'm not getting good clicks. So if you were to go into Google Ads, let's say, and look at legal services compared to selling luxury socks, the cost per click for legal services is going to be way higher than selling luxury socks. And they're both luxury services and products. Your budget might need to increase or decrease based on this goal. So when you play that out, you're going to have to make adjustments. Is everyone following that? Because we're going to build on this. Start at the end and work backwards. And great. You might not need to reach more people. Maybe you just need to play with your conversion rate. If standard conversion rates in most industries operate between 1% and 3%, if you're doing less than 1% conversion on your website, there's a problem. There's a big problem because like you're doing well all at the top of the funnel, the traffic is hitting your website. And if you're converting less than 1% of it, there's some problems. There's probably some problems on your product pages. There's probably some problems in your navigation. There's probably some problems at checkout. So great. I wouldn't put more money into the market. I would fix the website before. That means, and really what that means, if you're converting between 1 and 3, that means 97 to 99% of all website traffic that's actually coming to your business is not making a purchase, which is a lot of people. It's a lot of people, and that's just fact. There's just, it's as easy it is to buy something online. It's just as easy to walk away from that. The businesses that we work with, on average, they spend about 7% of their overall revenue on marketing. So whatever your revenue is, they spend about 7%. Again, that's on a wide variety of things. That's not just like money into Facebook advertising. That's a marketing budget, 7% of revenue. Realistically, when you're a younger company, that should be much more aggressive, because you do want to get to a point where you're taking a paycheck, there's stability, you want to actually grow that out so that there's some critical mass. When you start to level off, about 7, 8, 9%, unless you're doing something that's a little bit more expanding into a new marketplace, product development, things like that. 7%. Cool. Again, you need to write these findings down. You do. So understanding that opportunity and writing that down. So what are my goals for the next month, next quarter, next year? My revenue goals are $250,000. And I would walk that back, $250,000 of the revenue, X number of product sales. What assets do I need to actually sell those products? How much conversion rate on website, number of people I need to drive. There you go. There's your budget. You can have separate budgets and separate opportunities for different product categories. So not everything that in your stores can have the same margin. You're gonna have big ticket items, small ticket items, things that are easy to sell, things that are hard to sell. So you should break that down further. It's not like that $250,000 goal for the year is probably store wide. I need to break that down into separate categories. Where am I spending my money and my time? You're going to have to do that internally. That's where a marketing agency, a good one, will actually take the time to go like, let's actually go through that product mix. Where are you making your money? If you've got an advanced subscription of Shopify, you should be able to open up what is called an ABC report. And like A products account for like 80% of your revenue, B products account for 15% of your revenue, and C products account for 5% of your revenue. I clear those C products out of there, get them gone. Like I'm wasting time and resources trying to sell things that aren't selling. So every step going forward is to increase growth in those areas. Again, if that's the budget, so write that down again. Again, per category, per product, per initiative, per however granular you want to break that down. That's what we would do. That's what we would do with you. Great. I want to do something online. Great. We're gonna start right from the beginning. How many do we want to sell? This can seem like you're giving away the farm. This really can. So you're going to tell the marketing agency or the contractor, okay, great. Well, in order to sell those units, like my budget's like $10,000. Well, that marketing agency is probably going to say, well, I'm going to max that budget out. I'm going to max it at $10,000. And you're going to say, well, why? I want to try and hold them competitive. They could have come in at $8,000, right? I could have got it less. You can still do that. So I would get a quote from one company saying, here's the goals, here's the metric. I want to sell 25,000 units or whatever it is. And they're going to give you a quote, and you'll tell them your budget. Once you have that quote in hand, and they're going to say, budget's no more than $10,000. This is what we're going to do for you. Great. Now I would go out and say to 5 other places, can you beat this? Give me a quote for the same work. And I would just take the line items off quote 1 and present that to the next company, one of their competitors, and say, great, how much would you quote me for this work? And so you can still hold that primary company accountable. If we're not all on the same page and we don't know what the goals are, what your goals are, it's going to be really, really difficult to be held accountable at the end of the day. So we're trying to create accountability between the business owner and the marketing agency, or the budget. Like even if you had an internal marketing department, like they need to be accountable for their efforts too, right? So in real life, great. Talk about Hauser. They sell expensive furniture. It's lovely stuff made in Ontario, Canada. They don't need more traffic. That wasn't their problem. They didn't need more traffic. They do a ton on traffic side. They weren't happy with their conversion rate. So again, down the funnel, they knew how many units they needed to sell. They knew how many people that needed to drive to the store. They weren't happy with their conversion rates. So a bunch of things got changed on their website that were designed for conversion. So product pages, we added a bunch of things like adding spec sheets, wish lists, more photography, different photography. Can't tell from the screenshot, but there's a lot of detail on these pages now. They're very, very interactive. That's where the money went. More money didn't need to go to Google and needed to fix the problem that was there. So making sure that things are easily found. So really looking at the your business from a whole, if you do have a conversion rate problem, I would not be putting more money into awareness. I really wouldn't. I would solve the bottom of the funnel first. I don't care how good the top is. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with a conversion funnel, but the further down you fall in the funnel, the closer they are to actually completing a purchase. We want to make sure once they get down here, because you've spent all the money and all of the effort and all of the risk to get someone down the funnel. And if at the funnel they drop off, it's all for nothing. I would rather them drop off at stage one, not right before the product, because I've spent way less time and less resources and less everything, and they're just going to bounce, than right at the bottom. So if the conversion rate's not good, that's a problem. And again, I've got a simple screenshot here, just kind of showing like the product pages need to be stellar. Again, because we're in the luxury market here, there's going to be a high chance that your competitors are going to be on a different browser tab in your potential shoppers in their search. So they're going to probably be comparing your product in real time to your competitors. So knowing what their pages look like, knowing what kind of details they share, knowing what kind of photography they have, knowing what that experience looks like is going to be able to hold you accountable to say, are we exceeding them? Are we doing a better job? Because right then and there, your potential customer is going to be able to evaluate almost in an instant if your product pages, if everything is actually looking, feeling, if there's more trust, they will just know. It's going to be very, very easy. Great. Flying along here. Are there any questions so far about either of these two things? Because that budget should be something that is going to be hammered home based on, and again, large product stores are going to have a hard time doing this. So if you have 280,000 SKUs, it's going to be really hard to separate these out into categories. If you've got like 25 to 50 products with 4 or 5 categories, it's going to be really easy to line out some budgets in terms of what do you want to sell the most of it, whether it be candles, whether it be bicycles, whether it be instruments, whatever that is. You're going to need to actually put those numbers down. What is the goal? We are going to continue on. Okay, the last thing, well, not the last thing, another important thing. The DIY is saving me money. I'm sure you've all heard this before. Shopify is a super DIY friendly platform. It is. It's awesome. It's really easy to get started. They pride themselves on that. You can get started for the cost of a cup of coffee a day. It's true. You can do that. And that keyword there is get started. So if you're getting started is want to test an idea, want to start something, see if it's for me, great. It's not going to cost you a lot of money. It's not going to be like a Magento installation. It's not going to be like Commerce Cloud. It's not going to cost you $100,000 to get a website up and going. Shopify is going to be easy for that. If you're going to want to grow, you're going to need help. You are going to need help. It's the same thing as every other industry. There's only so many things that you can be good at. And there's a ton of things that need doing in business. So we, especially from our team, we need you working on what you're good at, your strengths. What are your strengths? I want you spending your time and energy on the things that you are good at, that you are at the fastest at doing. If you're good and slow, not good. You're the most expensive person at your company. Good and slow does not work in e-commerce. I need you to be good and fast because you're not cheap. If you think about that wheel of like good, fast, and cheap, you are good and you need to be fast because you really aren't cheap. You're the most expensive person there. So I need you to focus on those strengths. You need to take a position of freeing up your time to tackle the most important things. If you're living in the day-to-day, kind of sucks. You need to try to create and carve out time to actually tackle the big things. If you're the one that's boxing up every single order, that business is not growing. There's no amount of like budgeting that's going to solve that issue. You just have no time. You're just doing the lowest value thing in the business, which is putting the thing in a box. I can get anyone else to do that but you. So I need you focusing on the highest priority, highest value tasks. And that's the same thing here. I'm not the one that's behind the camera taking product photography. I've got a staff member that does that. They're better than me at it. You wouldn't want me taking your photo or your product photos. They take them faster, they're better, they're more consistent. Everyone wins. I win, you want a good, that's it. So you need to find, and this is the mindset shift, you need to find people better than you at the areas that you're not good at to help your business grow. And again, that can be a freelancer, that can be a staff member, that can be part-time, that could be a family member, that could be anyone. We kind of treat this as like doing your own electrical or doing your own maintenance on your car. Yes, in the short term, it can be very, very nice. You're going to avoid like a big bill or something like that. In the long term, when something goes wrong, your business is just going to perpetually suffer. When there's a problem with the electrical in your house, it's like, great, now you're into some real headaches. So it's what you can do, what are you fast and good at. Realistically, there's some red flags that come up in terms of like working with businesses in this industry. The best thing that you should be good at is your brand and product. What the heck are you, because no one else can be better. So like, what product are you selling? You need to be the expert at that. That's it, because no one else can be. Cool. Even as a marketing agency, going back to our services, we aren't even the best at all things marketing. I would be a fool to say like, oh yeah, we're just like the one stop. No, we're not the one stop. We know where we're good. And I'm going to avoid all the things that we're not good at, like the plague. You need to do that as well. Should not be there. Great. Again, any service provider, free up your time. If you free up your time, that extra time is going to go back onto that budget for things that you need to do. Talking to other business owners, forming collaborations, getting product into more stores, meeting more people, getting vendor quotes, evaluating your product comparisons in terms of like, should you be selling things or not? Only decisions that you can make, you should be focusing on. Right? Great. I got a question here. When you are a solopreneur, it takes time until you can afford it. Yeah, and absolutely. Yeah, Joan, that is it. You are in the middle of it. Most businesses will end up, again, an e-commerce business is a little bit different. If you were to create a brick and mortar, you'd end up having to take a loan out. You'd have to go get some money from a bank. You'd have to get some startup funding. You'd have to go and do something in the traditional realm of funding. That's who you're competing against. Like, you are competing against a player that has taken more risk than you. Like the above, like, again, there's even in our field, there are much bigger marketing agencies than us that have way more risk, that have taken on way more debt, that have way more at stake. Great. That's where you are as well. So as a solopreneur, I would still be focusing on only the things that you can do, and I'd be looking to get help where you're not. I think a lot of us are worried about investing in the wrong person, then cost the business. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, that risk doesn't go away. No matter how big you get, that risk never goes away. So I don't have any great solutions for that question. I'll repeat it. I think a lot of us are worried about investing in the wrong person that can cost the business and set us back. Yeah, that's true. That's true all the time. You should be looking to work with someone that's local. You should be looking to work with someone that has done it before. I would be looking to work, and again, this is true of accounting. This is true of your dentist. This is true of everyone. You need to find a person or a company or a team that has done it before. You don't want to be the guinea pig. If you are the guinea pig, they should be offering you some kind of break, some kind of deal, whether it be a freelancer or someone else. That's just where you're going to end up having to say, like, okay, great, the vetting process is going to start. I said it before, it's like, if a company's taking the time to invest in you, there's normally a good chance that they're willing to make the commitment to actually get to move that needle. When it comes to an employee, bringing on an employee, yeah, that's not really my area of expertise, but you are going to have to vet them pretty seriously in order to not run into trouble. We've been very lucky. In our past hiring, we've had nothing but greatness, but again, we're not taking anyone off the street. So great. Any other questions here? Because these three things that we've covered are like the most important things that are actually going into that time and energy and money budget. If you are getting stuck, on any of these three things? Oh, if my slides would work. Great. You can book a free strategy call with us, and I will actually work. You'll end up getting me. Don't call that phone number. That's actually my phone number. My phone will ring. It's off right now, but that's us. We'll actually work with you to determine where the heck you should spend your time and money. Be a free call. It'll be on Zoom. It'll be in a room just like this, which is great. I did promise everyone in the room that stuck around this sheet right here. Give me a second. Okay, a lot of us are, I've spoken to marketing agencies, but it feels like they're going to set it and forget it and not really focus on it. Yeah, no, that's really common. So again, there's lots of red flags out there. I don't want to toot my own horn too much. If you find a marketing agency is just putting you into a bucket, like, oh yeah, you fall into like the starter package. Like that's their way they've like monetized what they will, like your growth is capped at that package. Like, that's what they're going to do for you. That's the fast way to sell something. Great. It does depend on what you're trying to do. So like it feels like they're going to set it and forget it. I don't know why you're feeling like that. I don't know what they've said to prompt that feeling. It's not good. We get them all the time too. We hear from app partner. We've seen it. We've been in the Shopify ecosystem going on almost 8 years now. So it's been a little while. Yeah, and I would just find someone that's going to make the investment. There are a ton of people out there that do it. There's a ton of people out there that do it well. I don't know, the set it and forget it is not normally a strategy that ever works. So, and I would ask, just ask them, what do you plan to do? We meet with our clients like every 2 weeks. Like that's it. You're going to meet with one of us every 2 weeks, whether it be I, Aaron, whether it be someone else from our team to actually discuss what's going on if we've got active work. So it's not a whole lot of set it and forget it. It's like, we're going to meet and then the work's going to go and then like, we're going to meet again. And then the work's like, there's a lot there. It's not just a report. So yeah, there's lots of people out there that are doing good jobs. There's lots of people out there that are not doing good jobs, but yeah, unfortunately, you as the business owner, that is essentially one of the challenges in business is to find good staff, good people, good providers, good contractors. That's part of the flavor. I did promise everyone this. This is the digital marketing canvas. I just put it in chat. We're going to be giving out a lot of these. You can download it for free. It's not going to ask you for a credit card or anything. You can get one. Start writing down your things. I am a firm believer in writing the things down, put it in the drawer. Next planning stage comes up. You pull it back out of the drawer. You reread it going, what did I do last time? Did it work? Great. I can completely forget about it in between now and then. I know what I've got to do in terms of like, okay, we agreed to be on. I'll give you an example about what we've done recently. We had some goals. One of the goals that Aaron has taken on is he's going on a podcast tour. So he's been on like a ridiculous number of podcasts now and even more. The goal was for us to just start branching into that community. We build podcasts for people, but we've never been on like the sit down and chat and share our opinion side of things in front of the camera. So we decided, okay, great. That's great for exposure, great for community building. It's great to get our name out there. He just took it upon himself. That's his thing. He set aside 5 hours a week for it. That's the budget. It's 5 hours a week for the whole quarter. Done. At the next quarter, when we actually come back to it, we're going to come back saying, how many podcasts were you on? What did it look like? What did the metrics do? Should we do it again? Did we get the result we were looking for? Great. And we just work backwards. I want to be on, I think it was like 50 podcasts in like 90 days. Based on that, how much time do I have to set aside? And it wasn't a money problem, it was a time problem. Can I do it? I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to have he's been doing a really good job of it. So again, working backwards from that problem. Great. If you have any questions, we blew through that. I want to open up the Q&A so that I can start talking about your budgeting challenges and actually getting this onto paper. Slides, again, they're available to everyone. You can connect with me. My LinkedIn I put up previously. The more workshops, they're all available on events.shopify.com. Those are the community pages. So sweet. If you have specific questions that you don't want to share in front of everyone else, phone numbers there, emails there, websites there. I'm happy to chat about anything and everything. Right on. Chat lines are open. Absolutely, Ingrid. Thank you. Thank you. Kat, thank you as well. I think my biggest question is entering the arena of luxury. Okay, right on. Let me get into this. Into the arena of luxury. Do you have to start big and bold to be competitive? No. Is there a way to enter a more humble man? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's a great question. There's a few more questions here. There's a few more questions here that I want to get to. So yes, the question, do we have to start big and bold? No. There's like, for every brand that is a big, bold luxury brand, there's like just as many that aren't. So no, you just need to be true to yourself. So again, if you are selling like luxury exotic plants, I'm not going to have this big showy, exposition at the home show and I'm going to bring in my pomp. No, I sell luxury plants. Like that's what you sell. So the big and bold does not need to be. Most of, like, again, if you look at most of like the luxury stores, they're not big and bold, even on the like the retail level. They're nice. They hammer home their values is what you're trying to do. You need to hammer home the value. If your values are big and bold, then yes, you better be big and bold. If your brand is not big and bold, I'm going to have like luxury hot sauce comes in like tiny little jars and they're like nothing big and they're nothing bold. There's nothing big or bold about them. And it's like 5 times the cost of a Frank's red hot sauce that's sold by the liter. And then you're going to sell a luxury hot sauce that's made with like peppers grown in the Andes for like 40 years. And it's going to blow your face off. And it's like, great, I'm going to command a higher price point and my values are my values, and that's it. It doesn't need to be big and bold. It needs to be better. That's it. Big and bold does not mean better. Great. Which platform has the most potential to help you find the customers you're looking for? Okay, that's a loaded question. That's a loaded question. Okay, they're all platforms are good and all platforms are bad. It's the same. I don't want to say like one is better than the other. There is a right one for you. It's where are your customers? Where do your customers spend the most amount of time? And then that's the platform that I would be focusing on. No brand, I mean, the big brands are on every platform because they can afford to be. But especially for like small and medium-sized businesses, like heavily on the medium size too. So like, I don't think there's anyone in the room here doing like 500 million in sales a year. They do not operate on every platform. They do a few platforms very well. That's what you should focus on. Less is more. And again, when it comes to luxury, you need to be good. You need to be great. You don't need to be all things to all people. You need to be like good to great on the fewer places. Most luxury brands have an element of exclusivity to them. I'm not there. I'm not on Reddit. I'm not I'm not doing LinkedIn ads. I'm not there. I'm here. And here is where I thrive. So it all comes back to who your customer is, how old they are, like again, their demographics and geographics. There's a lot of luxury brands, they do a ton in print. They do a ton of it. So like if I was trying to sell a luxury watch, yeah, there's a really good chance that I'm in print. Because like that's where that community spends most of their time. I'm not going to be spending, it's going to be very difficult for me to get my luxury watch into the business community on Instagram, because guess what? The people that can afford luxury watches, there's not enough of them on Instagram to make sense. So yes, does Rolex have an Instagram account? Yeah, they do. Does that mean you need to have an Instagram account if you're selling $5,000 watches? No, it means you need to pick the platform that makes the most sense. Google, again, Google, there is something to be said about Google ads, because like most people make Google searches. But again, just for the sake of it, is the wrong answer. And I kind of stayed away from that in this presentation. We didn't talk about platforms so much as like, what is the goal? Is the goal to communicate better? Is the goal to produce better content? Is the goal to have to fix a conversion rate? Like the goal can't just be like, we want to advertise more. The goal should be like, we want more web traffic, but like that might not be an advertising problem. But yes, it is hard to decide. It just, you need to look at who your customer is and where are they spending their time.